Soft House Productions.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your brother, your boy, your friend, your guy, your cousin, your nephew, Omo Kings. Welcome to another edition of the Struggling Young Christian podcast. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who watched the first episode. Thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everything you've said about the podcast. It means a lot to us, and we are indeed grateful. We're indeed grateful for your audience. We're indeed grateful for your feedback. And thank you so much for supporting the dream. Thank you for supporting the ministry as well. And yes, I want to welcome you to today's edition. It is Valentine's season, is a season of love. And we're going to be dealing with a topic that's so relevant to the time we're in right now. And today's topic is relationship realities, the thin line between love and lust. As we all know, love is one word that's pretty much thrown around in popular culture nowadays. Everyone just says love, love, love. But we all know that's not love. And we're really going to be having that conversation today. And I've got someone very dear to me, a brother, a young rapper, poet, writer, speaker, business owner. This guy's got it all. And the most important part is that he's Christian. He loves the Lord. And it's a pleasure to have my brother here, Elijah Femi, here today. Hi, bro. How you doing, man?
Thank you so much. Honestly, that's the best introduction ever.
I mean, I should give you your flowers, man.
Thank you. I know as a
deserve
host, people don't really, introduce the host, but I want to say thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming, bro.
The previous podcast, the first one, it was so good, so impactful. We were just saying before this that I watched it on a treadmill, and I was just like, I was gonna do a 20-minute session. Whoa. And I literally lasted the whole video. Just like, it was so, it touched me so much. So
thank you so much.
I'm privileged to be here today.
Thank you so much.
To be here.
I'm glad to have you around. I'm glad to have you discuss this topic, as this topic is really dear to me. And it's Valentine's season, and let me squeeze that in there. It's my birthday season as well too. Come on. So
you need to have like a little clap noise here.
I'm gonna put that clap effect there. I'm gonna put that in there. So yeah, let's dive straight into the topic for today: the thin line between love and lust. How would you define love, and how would you define lust?
Firstly, the topic is so interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't know the difference between love and lust. And I feel like we've all been through it,
Definitely.
For me, the definition of love is to give. The definition of lust is to take. So that's how I differentiate the two words.
Definitely.
How do you differentiate the two words?
I agree with you. Love is really about giving. It's sacrificial. For example, the Bible says in the book of John 3:16 that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So God gave because he loved. So love is about giving. It's about giving. It's sacrificial. And lust, on the other hand, is really, really it's pretty much a taking game, because lust comes from a place of desire and wanting to have something. And yes, I agree with you. Definitely, I agree with you. Love is selfless. Love is sacrificial. Love is rooted in genuine care. And lust is just reckless. It's just about taking, and there's really no emotional connection to lust.
There isn't. For me, also, when I think about love, I think about it's divine, isn't it?
Yes.
This is something that it is the most purest form of expression.
Facts. Facts.
Love is not something that you can learn to love.
Definitely.
There are practical sense to it, but at the end of the day, it is within you.
Definitely.
While lust is just sort of like you're acting on impulse.
Facts.
It is something that you didn't really think about this 20 minutes ago, but something came in on your phone, something came in, someone came into a room, and then now this thoughts came into your, the desire,
True.
you know?
Yeah.
While love is not something that you can just say that I love this person. Like for me, I love hard. It takes a while for me to even say that word.
True.
Because it's so valuable to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like this takes a time. And I feel like as a man, you can't just say that you love something or love someone without actually meaning, you know.
Without meaning. And I think a lot of people nowadays even just use that word so loosely without even knowing what it is you say you love or who the person is. Like, I mean, there's guys who see a girl for the first time and they say it's love at first sight. I don't know. I mean, this is a conversation that a lot of people will find weird for those who believe in love at first sight, but I don't know how it is to love something that you don't even know.
Yeah. And I feel like, just to go on to that, I feel like that's such a great point, you know, love at first sight. Because I feel like that word is used quite loosely, you know, because what you said, how can you love someone when you just only met that person, you know? To me, I feel like that it shows, and I don't want to come for anyone that, you know, believes in that, because I'm sure there's some relationships.
Oh yeah, they've lasted off a love at first sight. But I would not even say, I beg to differ though. Like, I think I wouldn't say it's love at first sight. I'll probably say it's an attraction at first sight that then grows into love, because I don't think love is something that just sparks straight away. Like, nah, I really don't believe so, because love is so sacrificial that you can't tell me if you saw somebody on the first day, you'd want to actually die for this person on that day. I don't think so.
And that's what it means to love as a man. Like, you know, you're putting this person above all. This person right here, you know, you would die for that person. That's why using that word so loosely to me is just inappropriate, you know. But let me just go back to the point that you made. Yeah. And I feel like we can touch on this a little bit later, because we're working through a step, but you just made an important, you know, so you just had, you know, said an important sentence just then when you was like, you know, like, you don't think it's love at first sight, it is attraction.
Yeah.
So that is impulse, isn't it? So does it mean that it is lust before it was love?
Exactly. And that's the point we're trying to talk about here. That thin line between love and lust. So some people would want to put maybe attraction in the middle ground, or infatuation. But I would want to say lust is such a powerful force as well too, especially in the times we live in right now, with how the opposite sex has been objectified nowadays in media, in popular culture, in the music we listen to, even on social media as well too. Like, it's so easy to be distracted nowadays, so to speak, or it's so easy to find things that can easily make you fall for the sin of lust. Because, I mean, lust is one of those sins in the Bible as well too. And I would say cultural influences, and there's so much cultural influence with the whole concept of lust. And I really want us to dive into that side, like, and talk about how media and popular culture nowadays really, really adds a lot of fuel to the whole concept of lust.
I feel like media plays on insecurities. And the biggest issues to man and woman is, you know, there's that word that says that, you know, your insecurity is your biggest form of weakness.
True.
You know?
True.
And how do you grab someone's attention the most? It's by playing to their insecurities.
Facts.
Isn't
it? Yeah.
So media is pushing stuff that people are insecure about and calling it liberation.
True.
Is it liberation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just poking holes into your insecurities?
Yeah.
So I feel like, for me, media plays a huge role in pushing lust over love. You know, you check your phone even if you got algorithm for you page,
Facts.
all of these things, you know?
Facts.
Even if your algorithm is like Christianity and all of that stuff, even within that, there's some Christian, you know, contents that it's a bit like, that has that thin line, you know, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm talking about, grabbing attention, you know, to grab attention, it's going back into that insecurity, isn't it?
They're the Jesus baddies nowadays. That's what they call them.
Jesus baddies.
Jesus baddies. I saw that on Instagram. I'm like, wow, like this is moral decadence at its peak. Jesus baddies. So, but these are the things that actually young Christian men struggle with every day, and this was part of the things we're talking about when we're discussing about this earlier. Like, it's I feel like the struggle right now is at a peak point where everywhere you are, everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there is the temptation for, it's like the traps are all there, they are there at every point you look at right now to want to fall for the trap of lust. And I know everybody watching right now can relate to this, like especially young men. And I can also, I want to also believe that females as well to go through this situation of lust. Like
definitely. I mean, before we even started talking on camera, we had a little discussion about the differentiation between lust and for men and women, you know?
Definitely.
And, you know, what I think, this is my opinion, you know, I don't want any female feminists to come for me, you know. But I feel like for a man, you know, we said already, like, it is gratification.
True.
You know, it's about what you see, you want to get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for women, it's more about seduction, you know.
True.
It takes, over time, women are more emotional beings, men are more, you know, visual. You know, what we see is what we want, you know.
True.
While with women, it's more like, you know, going into that, their emotions and all of that stuff. And then they start playing a story in your head. And that now goes into lust, you know, especially if someone is committed to another and then, you know, spending time with another person, then you're asking yourself, what is this? Is this a form of friendship? Or am I allowing myself into lustful thoughts towards this person?
True.
For a woman, you know?
Yeah.
While for a man, it's like you're committed to, you know, let's say Amanda, you know, and then you're in the office, you know, and Stacey comes in. Stacey, you know, it's been like, hey, you're my Stacey Curvaceous Stacey.
Yeah.
You know, comes in and then, you know, those little things, like if you don't keep your eyes where your eyes are supposed to be.
Facts.
Then, you know, you've derailed.
Preach. Preach. And I feel like that's really where the struggle is, like being able to be focused on purpose, what it is you really want. And you hit that point really there. And that's another thing that I wanted us to talk about, like a bit of like, let's also draw it into the Bible. Like I remember something Jesus Christ said about when you look at a woman with the intent of actually taking her to bed, you're equally as guilty as the person that's taking her to bed. I found that really shocking. And in my personal life, like I feel like that's one scripture that keeps me in check every time. I mean, the thoughts of lust want to creep into my heart. Come on. Like I always say, this is a struggling Christian podcast. We are honest on this. Like, and these were the things I was talking to Elijah about before we started filming. Like, how do you get to deal with lust? For example, in our everyday life, you go out on the streets. I'm even talking from the perspective of a married man, like where I know I'm even committed. How about you, young Christian men? Like you go on the streets, there's all sorts of fine, beautiful women out there with all body shapes. Sorry, pardon my French to say this. I mean, we nyash and everything.
Keep it real.
Like we have to say it the way it is.
Yes.
Like, and you see all of these things, and even in conversations we have with our friends, like a girl walks into the room and almost every man in that room turns and like, whoa, it's the conversation in the room. And how do you, as a young Christian, deal with that?
I think, you know, I'm going to start from here. In churches, you know, we're taught not to sin, not to think about sinning. You know, it is wrong. You know, it is, you know, it's not the right morals to do that.
Yeah.
But it never teaches how to not do that. You know, the practical
and how to deal with the thoughts.
How to deal with the thoughts, exactly. You know, everything needs some sort of like training, you know, like even when you think about work, like that's as much as we all hate it, training is important because it keeps us afresh into like what the standard is, what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a man or as a woman, as a Christian, you know, you need to find practical ways to do that, you know, to keep your mind away from those thoughts. And that goes back into purpose. Like if someone comes in and say that, you know, hey, Elijah, you know, or not even, hey, Elijah, someone walks in and they look really good and you're like, well, I'm committed to this person, or even this person is not really, you know, a Christian or in the same journey as me,
mm-hmm.
Then you ask yourself that me holding a conversation that's leading into sin or lust, you know, is it taking me towards my purpose or is it derailing me from my purpose?
Facts.
So that's the way to kind of like identify what it is that you're doing. You know, is this taking me towards my purpose or is it derailing me from my purpose? If you don't know what the end goal is, you know, you have no action plan. You don't know what you're doing.
Facts.
So that's the way that I do it. But I'm not saying that, you know, this is
a one size fits all.
Yeah, not at all. Because, you know, we are human and you have to understand that even as a Christian, psychology of being a human being is your brain looks for comfort.
Facts.
That's the most thing. That's the one thing that your brain looks for.
The easiest thing your brain wants to do. The easiest thing.
It just wants to make you comfortable.
Facts.
You know? So you have to fight your mind. You have to have a strong mind.
Definitely.
You know, and that goes into little things. So like, for example, if you're I'm going to go back to the previous podcast, how you guys talked about gym, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make that as an example. Obviously, I go gym and you go gym as well. So,
yeah, I do.
You know, let's say that, you know, you've got a plan, you know, your New Year resolution is to lose weight. And then January came. Like you said, most people believe in, what was it, February or something,
by
right?
third week of January,
exactly.
First week of February, everyone's gone.
Everyone is gone. So how can you fully maintain your goal or your New Year resolution if you're leaving at January, you know? And if someone that goes to the gym and has a plan to actually lose the weight, if you stick with that plan till July, I bet you any money that when it comes July and you're feeling like you don't want to go, the guilt will drive you there. Because you've already spent 6 months in there. You formed the habit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it back into, you know, derailing you from your purpose. If you form a habit of focusing just on your purpose and what you think is right, it will be hard for you to derail yourself as long as you stick with it for a certain period of time. I think there was a saying, I might be wrong. There's a saying that says that it only takes 30 days to form a habit, right?
Yeah. True.
So you've got to find a way to be consistent for a short period of time. And then after that period of, you know, hardship of that consistency, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Because now there's guilt involved in there.
Yeah.
So if you know you're not supposed to be looking at Stacey, you know, after let's say 2 months of doing, or 30 days of, you know, not looking at Stacey and focusing,
you get used to it.
When you look at Stacey, you be like, no, I'm not supposed to look at Stacey. And even let's say one day you fail, the second day you're gonna be like, no,
readjust.
I cannot. Do you know what I mean? It's easier like that.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. And back to the point on purpose, they say where purpose is not defined, abuse is almost inevitable. Purpose is really crucial to keep you in check. And I would also say this as well, too, from my perspective. One of the things I tend to do when these thoughts come is to remind myself of the fact that God does not like this. And if there's anything I don't want to ever do in my life right now is do anything that would break the relationship I have with God, because I know what's on the line. I know what's at stake. And I understand the value of my purpose. I understand that their destinies tied to me fulfilling my purpose in life. And that keeps me in check, even when my mind wants to run wild, because I'm not gonna sit down and lie here that we do not get tempted. Of course, every day, and the way it's so crazy that the way the world is designed right now is designed to make you fall. And this was one of the things I was trying to explain to you earlier on. The devil knows that you would not naturally go and fall and meet a girl or take a girl home or take a girl and do whatever you want to do with the girl. But the devil knows that if he passes one fine girl in front of you with the right curves and everything, you will look. And as small as that action may be, that small seed of looking can derail you, because like I said earlier on, anyone who looks with the intention of doing is equally as guilty as the person who has already done it. Yeah. That's so profound, bro. Like, anytime I think about it that way, like, most times I pray the prayer Job prayed. Job prayed a prayer in the book of Job. He said, I made a covenant with my eyes not to lust after any woman. Such a powerful and profound statement he made there. And in my everyday walk with God and dealing with real struggles like this, and I know many brothers out there, many sisters out there are also dealing with these things, one of the main things that you have to always remember is, what's your purpose? What is it? What's that assignment you have with God? What's that covenant you have with God? And for every Christian, I think, especially when you've been a Christian for longer and you are actually serious with your relationship with God, you wouldn't want to offend him. It's like having a relationship with your bae. Like, I wouldn't want to do anything that will hurt my wife right now. I would not want to do anything like that. And same with God, and even more with God, not even same, more with God. Like, if there's anything I don't want to do, is ever be on the wrong side of the stick with God, because I've been there before and I paid dearly for it, and I would never ever want to be on that side, and that keeps me in check. That really keeps me in check. Thank you very much for that point. The other thing again I was going to talk about is the role. I know we sort of hinted about it before, but let's delve a bit deeper into the role of physical attraction, because I feel like that's the line the devil uses to come. I mean, I can almost guarantee that there's no one who will see a fine, well-created, beautiful lady and will not want to be attracted to them, whether you're married or single. It's a natural thing, but like we said, drawing the boundaries, setting the boundaries, and let's talk about the importance of physical attraction in romantic relationship whilst emphasizing limitations. How do we emphasize the limitations?
I mean, the old-fashioned way would be, parents, they look for a good woman in church, and then they'd be like, you guys should courtship now,
Or old school courtship.
That's the old school way of doing things.
But times have changed.
Times have changed completely. Like, I don't think it's fair for you to be married to someone that you're not physically attracted to.
Preach.
I don't think it's fair at all. I feel like you're setting yourself for a life of misery.
Fact.
And it's not fair on her as well.
True.
There has to be some form of like attraction, love, and, God in that mix as well. Yeah. God is definitely number one, but attraction is also important.
Definitely.
And one thing that you don't want to do is to focus too much on attraction, though.
Preach.
That's the one thing you don't want to do, because, let's go back to like being kids and all of that stuff. Most people, the Christianity journey would, before they've started really like focusing on God, it's just about, this girl's good looking. When you're in school,
bang.
She's nice. She's nice, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she's godly. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but she's really nice. That's the main thing that you're focusing on, isn't
Fact.
it? But over time, life will teach you that face is not all. Body is not all.
Never. Body changes, bro.
Yeah, it does. Because the thing that happens in a relationship really is, it's such a power. No, actually, you know what? Love, I'm going to use love. Love is such a powerful thing in a relationship.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't have to be just, love can actually be one-sided.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think that's what happens when you focus on attraction.
True. Yeah.
Once it's one-sided, that can hurt someone so badly, you know? That can really, really hurt someone.
So the question is, how do we draw the thin line between attraction and love? So is it possible to love someone that you're not attracted to?
It's possible to love someone that you're not attracted to, but it's not possible to hold a relationship with someone that you're not attracted to. I think happiness is important, you know? And
well, happiness is subjective, though. Content will be the right word.
Yeah. Because I feel the reason why I used happiness was because people get into relationships with someone that they don't feel, they're not attracted to at all.
True.
You know, and they're not happy in that relationship because they're not content. Actually, I'll use content. I think you're right. Content is the right word. They're not content because they know they can do better. They know they can be with this, be with that, you know. But at the same time, there has to be a limit. You can't face everything is great, but if there's no God in that relationship, you're lost.
Fact.
You're lost.
On the subject of content, that's such a big one because it was something I actually struggled with as well too, growing up as a young guy. Even in my early days of marriage, the idea of content, like always thinking there's someone better out there for you. I used to have that issue a lot when I was more younger. Like I always used to think, oh, maybe I'll meet that one girl. And now being in marriage for this long, I realized that the perfect girl doesn't even exist.
No.
The perfect wife does not exist. Like you just have to be content with that person you're with and build with that person and grow with that person. And it's like it's such a powerful concept. And because loss is one thing that fuels that discontent as well too. Because when you always seek to gain or to keep getting, you never ever be satisfied with what you have because your eyes are always still out there looking for what's best or what's better than what you already have. Content, definitely. Content is a very powerful one. It is a powerful one.
It sure is. And when you say that, because what you're saying is so relatable, I feel like we should focus on it a little bit more, you know? Like when, you know, you always feel like there's someone out there that's better for you. And this is something that people of my generation, they struggle with.
Facts.
We are in a day of age where, you know, we're always comparing. You know, Instagram makes us compare.
Ooh, rich.
You know, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, TV adverts, films makes us compare. You know,
the perfect shape, the perfect body, the perfect hairline, the perfect everything.
And not just that alone. There is one that no one's ever touched on. People that do podcasts and motivational speakers.
Oh,
they make us compare. Because, you know, it's just about what are you taking in? What content are you taking in?
Facts.
What are you listening to? Not everyone that, you know, speaks on podcasts, not everyone that, you know, is a musician are there to tell you the truth. Some people it's part of an agenda.
Absolutely.
And also it is selfish agenda.
Absolutely. I agree with you, bro. I do agree with you, bro.
So, I mean, for a man, you're being told that, you know, you should be this, you should be that, you should be this, you should be that before, you know,
you can get the right
before
girl.
You get the right girl.
There was something that trended recently where like London guys are stingy.
Yeah.
Like the rich guys in Lagos are the ones that we want. And I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
like have you really been there and seen what these guys are up to?
Yeah. And you know that saying then that grass is never greener on the other side. You gotta water your grass, you know what I'm saying?
Preach.
You gotta water your grass.
So, bro, another thing I really want us to talk about is the importance of building relationships on the foundation of love, like real love. Because I feel like that's one thing that's really missing right now in the world we live in right now. People seem to be more drawn to the things they can see from the outside, the face, the body, what she can bring to the table. That's another big conversation right now. But people don't see things like the quality of friendship, trust, emotional intimacy. Let's delve into that a little bit.
It's funny you actually said this because yesterday I was at the gym again. I feel like that's my place where I watch podcasts. And I was watching a podcast about, it just came on my For You page on there, and it was about, what was it about? It said, stop being the nice guy.
True.
Now, the reason why I watched was because of the author, Robert Greene.
Yeah.
And I was just like, he's a very interesting man to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let me just have a little listen to this. And one of the things that he said was vulnerability, you know? And I think that relates perfectly into what you're talking about today. He made a statement, you know, vulnerability is the word that came from vernus, and that's a Latin word, which basically means wound. So you have to open yourself to be hurt before you're able to build, you know. That's where vulnerability is so important. As a man of this day, you know, day and age, like, it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to be vulnerable because expectation does not allow that. Expectation says that a man has to build, a man has to do this, do that, do this. After building all of these things, you know, ego goes in the way.
Facts.
Ego, you build your castle, but you also build your ego. As well.
Preach.
So, and then when you build your ego, you see
it distorts reality.
Exactly.
It distorts reality. Absolutely. And I feel like being vulnerable is one of the hallmarks of true friendship. Like, I mean, I can only be vulnerable to my friends. Like, I cannot be vulnerable to my colleagues at work or people out there on the street, but I can open up to someone I call my friend. And especially for someone who I see a future with, I don't see the need not to be vulnerable with them, like not to show them my true self. And like you mentioned, this is one major thing that is lacking right now in the generation of the day. People have set the bar so high for themselves, set their ego so high for themselves that they cannot be caught dead doing certain things or wearing certain things or being in certain places for the fear of what people may say.
Yeah, perception.
Perception is at an all-time peak right now. And then another major thing again I feel like is missing nowadays is the trust factor. Trust is such an expensive commodity right now, and it's something people don't value that much again, like it used to be, because everybody just feels like people cannot be trusted generally anymore, and it sort of distorts the way people see relationships nowadays. What do you have to say about that?
Trust is it's a hard one because even within myself, like, I struggle to trust. That's something that I know that, you know, I find really hard, you know. And people that struggle to trust are the most friendliest people. Do you know what I mean?
True.
So how do you build trust? I mean, that's the question I would like to throw back to you.
I would say trust is not something that just comes easily. It takes time to build trust. I would say time is really involved in the whole process of building trust. You have to spend time with this person. And it also ties back to the point we raised earlier on, vulnerability. When I know I can be vulnerable before you and you're not going to judge me for being real with you, and I know that you have my back, I will trust you, and I would expect also to be trusted, because trust is a two-way street. Like,
it sure is.
As much as I want to be trusted, I also need you to trust me.
So there is no trust without vulnerability.
Definitely.
Because trust is basically showing your true identity.
Yes.
And the other party showing their true identity.
And also knowing that my secrets are safe with you. My vulnerability is safe with you. I am that safety. And I feel like once the foundation of trust is laid in any relationship, other things will naturally blossom. Emotional intimacy will come from there, because I know I can trust you. I know I can open up to you. I know I can be vulnerable with you. And I feel like these are like the hallmarks of true Christian love. And these are the things that are missing today. And this goes to every young person who's struggling with forming meaningful Christian relationships. These are things we have to pay attention to in our conversations with people we intend to form relationships with people we intend to take serious, because there's a lot of confusion out there right now, and because there's options, there's plenty of distractions, meaningful relationships are not being formed. There's very high expectations.
They're not. I mean, going back to where we started from, most people do not know what is love and what is lust. Most people have the impression that, I start with lust and then we build love. It doesn't work like that. Nah, it doesn't work like that.
Light and darkness cannot mix.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
Love is pure.
It's divine. It's the nature of God.
Divine. Yeah.
It's God's nature.
And that's the one thing that you can do as a Christian, is to love others, because if God, just what you said, at the start, John 3:16, if God can give his only begotten son, then tell me what else
is bigger than that?
Exactly.
And then Jesus also made the greatest commandment is for us to love God first, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We genuinely love ourselves first, but the instruction is for us to love other people as we love ourselves. And love is not lust. Love is sacrificial. It gives. It's not selfish. It's not puffed up. It does not keep account of wrongdoings.
No.
It's patient. It's kind. Wow, love is powerful.
Love is powerful, but one cannot love without... A broken person cannot love.
Never.
A broken person cannot love.
Preach.
And the reason for that is because, like, when we go back to the point, love is given, isn't it?
Yeah.
What can you give?
You can't give what you don't have.
Nothing to give.
Facts.
Do you know what I mean?
Facts.
So you have to go through that journey yourself.
Facts.
Find yourself.
In God.
In God, yeah. Key point, in God.
In God.
Like they always say, love God first, and then family and there's the, hierarchy, all of that stuff. But you must find yourself in God and understand you before you're able to give. Because you have nothing to give. An empty cup can't give nothing, you know what I'm saying?
And about the part of finding you, as Christians, our identity is in God, our identity in Christ, and grasping the concept of the Father's love sometimes can be mind-blowing, especially when you think about where we've come from. Like, when you think about your history, like, for me, like, I wasn't a good boy. There's so many things I've done in my life that I'm not proud of. But when I think about how God overlooked all of this and still desires me and still loves me, like, it blows my mind up, and I never want to mess that up. Like, and because of my understanding of his love for me, I'm able to love me now better than I used to, and now I'm able to give that love to others.
Can I ask a personal question?
Yes.
So what changed for you?
If a lot of things changed first, but I would say the first thing that changed was purpose. I made a point earlier on, like, when purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. I really, at some point in my life, did not understand why I was created. Like, it was something I struggled with, especially as a young person with so many talents. I knew I was skilled at so many things, but I really couldn't place my finger on what it is that was my purpose. I had an idea of it, but I'll just say I was nonchalant, I was complacent, I fell for peer pressure. I just wanted to live life without a direction or without any sense of direction. But when God used pain to draw me back to Him, like, because I tried to do things my way and it never really worked. And God, God is such a loving. God gives you that tough love sometimes. Like when you feel like He's telling you go this way and you don't want to go this way. Like tough love sometimes will allow you allow your child put his or her hands in fire, and when they get burnt, they run back like, Dad. That was pretty much my story. Like I tell people, my story is pretty much like the story of Jonah in the Bible, the prophet Jonah, when God said, go to Nineveh, and he said, no, I'm not going there. I'm going to Tarshish instead, and ended up in the belly of the fish. That was pretty much my story. And then the same place he said he didn't want to go, he had to go. And in summary, that summarizes my life story. And purpose, understanding my purpose now made me realize that I need God more than He even needs me to achieve the things He has called me to. And when I started understanding His love for me, my purpose became clearer, with spending more time with Him and paying attention to Him and what He wants me to do. And I mean, my life changed really, and that's really what changed for me. Yeah.
That is so deep. I mean, one of the easiest way to like lose your purpose is influence, And I was watching a podcast shortly before this as well. And this preacher, I think his name is Vlad. I'm not sure what country it's from.
Yeah, I think I've heard about him.
You heard about him, yeah. And he was talking about influence, and he used this meaning that influence, the word flew in influence. It spreads, doesn't it?
Yeah, influenza,
yeah. I think even maybe that word kind of imply flu.
And that's where the word flu is from.
Wow.
Influenza.
Exactly. So you use that, it's like, who do you surround yourself with? Who are your company?
Facts.
Who are you? What are you taking in? And not just people alone. Like, what kind of stuff do you listen to? What kind of stuff do you watch? All of these things. And I'm guilty of it as much as anyone else.
We all are. It's a struggle, bro.
I'm not gonna say here. That's why I love the title of the podcast.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle, and that's the whole concept of this podcast. Like when God gave me the idea for this podcast, it was more to come and discuss about things we young Christians struggle with every day. Like, and the road to heaven is not an easy. The Bible said it's a narrow road. It's a broad is the way that leads to destruction, but narrow is the way that leads to the Father. It's a narrow road, and the higher you go, the lonelier it becomes, the narrower it becomes. Like, it's not an easy journey. It's a struggle daily. But that's the beauty of it. In all is that the righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets up. Even though we may fall, we would always stand up and keep it moving. That's what's most important, keeping it moving. And reeling it back into the conversation about the thin line between love and lust. We've said so much about how understanding God's love for ourselves, understanding God's love first before loving ourselves and loving others, and pretty much is the bedrock to forming real relationships. And the other thing I would want to talk about as I want us to round up, not setting round up, but talk about is what practical tips can you share for young Christians on cultivating healthy, Christ-centered relationships based on love?
Practical things that we can do is fellowship.
Preach.
We take so much from podcast. Why can't myself, yourself, your partner, my partner, other people's partner, come together and talk about these things, you know, on a frequent basis. So weekly, twice, every fortnight, you know,
Yeah.
just refreshing your mind and keeping on that, you know, keep your focus pivoted on your to your focus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that we can do. The other thing that we can do is also keeping God right in the center of it. You know, it's not about what you want to do. It's about, is this what God wants us to do?
God's will. We mentioned that last time, and that's so important.
So that is very, very important.
I feel like that's the most important factor.
It is the most important factor.
It is the God factor.
Number one. It surely is number one. Then I would also say that asking yourself, really sitting down with your partner and asking yourself, both of you, that what are we doing? That question. Like,
the $1 billion question.
You know,
what are we doing?
What are we doing? You know your purpose.
Yeah.
But you know your individual. We all know our purpose.
Yeah.
You know, your purpose could be to be, you know, successful as a businessman. Your purpose could be to be successful as a musician. Your purpose could be, everyone's purpose is tailored to themselves.
True.
But now if you're joining in union with someone, what is...
That's a bit common goal.
Yeah, exactly. What is our purpose? You know, this is not related to employment. This is not related to goals, personal goals. This is related to what kind of life are we cultivating?
Facts.
So we need to have that discussion between ourselves that, you know, what are we doing?
Facts. That's absolutely true. And one thing to add to that again will be the power of communication. I feel like people underestimate that. And communication, I feel like, is the miracle powder for every relationship. A relationship where communication is sparse, it will be a relationship that will struggle. And communication is the icing on the cake, really. Like where, because you can only know what your common goals are is when you talk about them. You can only know your vulnerabilities is when you talk about them. You can only know your weaknesses when you talk about them. You can only know your strengths when you talk about them. You can only know the things you don't like in your partner as well when you talk about them. Because, like I always tell people think, oh, the person you saw on the first day when you met her is the same person you'll be with. Bro, after 5 years, you realize it. Sometimes you ask yourself, Father, who is this woman in my house? You know, like, who is this girl? And I'm sure everyone goes through that. But communicating how we feel, communicating what it is we're going through helps keep the relationship moving, keeps it growing forward. Like, every relationship is not going to be straight. Like, there are ups and downs in relationship, but a relationship that is centered on God, that is based on trust, and where communication is key, I reckon that relationship will thrive in love. Definitely. Now, let's look on the flip side. Like we said, it's a thin line between love and lust. Now, we've talked a lot about love, purpose, and all that. Now, lust. How do we recognize signs of lust?
That's brilliant. That's a great question.
Yeah. What behaviors, what attitudes indicates lust in a relationship?
I'll use the finance way of this. Well, spending. I don't know how to word it actually, but there is a saying that when you want to buy something, you give yourself, is it 24 hours before you buy it? Yeah. I would use that in this sense as well. Like, if you like someone, when you know that you like someone, but you're not sure, because we're all very conscious, you know.
Yeah.
You know when something is good, when something is pure.
Yeah.
And you know when something does not feel right. But regardless, you still want to explore it.
Explore it, yeah. We're curious.
So you're curious, yeah. And that's happened multiple times.
Oh my God.
So I feel like if you give yourself that 24 hours to just reflect on it, that what is this? Does it feel right? Is this good? and pray on it as well, God will answer that prayer.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a little personal example,
Yeah.
So I was dating this person, and she's even like way ahead of me in terms of Christianity and her belief and everything. And even it made me respect her even more. And it got to the question of like, certain things that was not very godly, and should we go forward with it? Should we not? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. And I'm just like, okay. She said, this is what I believe. And she stuck to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I knew what she believed is right. And I'm like, yes, she is right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was able to tell me that. And I'm just like, wow, this is exactly what we should be. This is the standard that we should be doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the standard. And it's hard. Like we talked about, many, many things that goes in, like it pops in on your screen and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But do you have a stronghold of your mind?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So lust, to identify it, I feel like you don't even need anyone to tell you that this is lust. You do know it deep down in your heart that this is not right.
It's not right. That's self-reflection.
There's something in there. There's consciousness.
Yeah.
And this is, just a rebuttal to that. Most young Christian would say that the reason why I feel this way is because I've been told that this is wrong, and my mom and dad said that this is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does it actually mean that it is wrong, or am I feeling the guilt of them telling me that this is wrong? Do you know what I mean? And I was watching something recently today. I was watching something today before this podcast, and basically it said that no, it is not because of your mom and dad told you that this is wrong. It is because it is wrong. And the hardest sin to overcome is sin of immorality.
Facts.
Because other sins, you're sinning, you're doing stuff, it's all body. But actually, I'm about to quote my sister. She said, when you do certain things like that, you're giving your soul away.
Preach.
And that's the main focus about lust. Lust is to, what did I say before? I said love is to give.
Yeah, love is taken away.
Lust is taken away.
Lust is taken away, yeah.
So you're taking away a part of your soul, That's how you know. And that's the one thing. It's so hard to come back from that.
True.
Because you've lost yourself. Do you get what I mean?
Yes. I agree.
It's a negative. You've lost something.
True. And I think another thing again, while you're talking about that, that our ability to self-reflect is key. And I think another thing that can also help with preventing lust is having accountability partners, having accountability, self-accountability, and also having someone that can hold you accountable as well. I feel like that's another way that can help to address like lustful tendencies. Just keeping yourself in check, especially in godly relationships. Like, okay, this is where the boundary is, and just making sure that you don't cross that boundary, and you have someone you can be accountable to always keep you in check. Setting boundaries is really, really important.
It is. Boundaries and being accountable to God as well, because, like when you pray and then it's hard to pray when you sin.
Bro, you just feel dirty.
It's so if you keep doing that, and like I say, like one thing I love about the name of the podcast is struggling.
Yeah.
That word is it's a key word.
It is.
Because no one is perfect.
No one is.
And we're not going to come here and be like, I'm not even going to come here and say that I know everything and I'm perfect or whatever. I am a struggling young Christian.
Definitely.
So you have to be accountable to someone, and God is the only person that you can be accountable to when it comes to that topic.
Yeah, true.
How can you pray? It's like when you go, it's like your parents as well. If you do something that your parents, is wrong. Let's say you do something in church. Your parent gives you the eye like,
That Nigerian African parent
look. You go home, you're unsettled.
Yeah, true.
That moment, you're not feeling the love between yourself and your parent.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as like when you sin. Against God.
Fact.
You can't go to God. You don't feel worthy.
And you know the crazy thing about lost is nobody even sees when you lost. You just know in your heart. And one thing that keeps me in check, especially with the issue of accountability with God, like the first thought that comes to my mind, especially when the thoughts of lost are about to start, I'm like, you know, God sees you, shy. God, especially when maybe like one fine girl passes with everything and you want, you know that temptation to want to look and like, but you know, God sees what you're about to do now.
Yeah.
So would you really want the devil to win over you this time? And that sense of accountability just keeps me focused. Like I said to you earlier on, like when I'm in the gym, what do I do in the gym? I put my Bible up there, put scriptures in my space, close my eyes, and sometimes I'm just praying there while I'm on the treadmill and just staying focused, because it's really easy to get distracted in the day and age we live right now, and the temptations are out there. And the beautiful thing about temptation is that God will not give you something that is too big for you to handle. God knows that you can handle the temptation of lust, and that's why He's empowered you with information like this to make you aware that this is a problem and find practical ways to deal with this problem. And I'm speaking to whoever is watching right now, like that may be dealing with lust. There's hope in Christ, like just understanding God's love for you alone and understanding your purpose in God. Whether you like it or not, you have a purpose in God, and there's a reason why He's created you. There's a reason why He's put you on there. And just understanding God's love for you would help you love yourself enough and keep you in check even when the temptation of lust comes in, because it's out there where you are. Then another thing again I'd want to also emphasize is we already touched on that earlier on, is the things we consume, the media we watch. These things are pointers. Bro, if you want to see the baddest baddies, they're all on Instagram. If you go out in the world today, they're all there. They're all designed by the devil to keep you in a loop. But once you understand what the devil's agenda is, you understand what your purpose is in God, I feel like it's easier to deal with the lustful thoughts. And my prayer is that God strengthens us in this walk. Like we all know, this is a struggle, and this is the whole essence of why we're here, to discuss the struggles we're having every day. Now, as we round up, I want us to talk about also like seeking God's guidance and His love in our relationships with our spouses, with people around us. And let's just discuss that and just emphasize again the God factor in all of this.
Seeking God's guidance in a relationship, it's done by both parties.
True.
It's not just you alone,
yeah.
You know? That's why you have to make sure that God ordains you the right person and pray about it. But to seek that, it goes into fellowship. You both have to keep God in the center of your relationship.
Facts.
And I'm very practical. Like, that's one thing that I like to just talk about and hammer down, is that you have to have a practical way of doing that, you know? Going to church together, praying together.
Essential.
It is important.
Yeah.
Because even the respect element of it, like, how can you be, you know, God-focused if you're not praying together?
Facts.
Do you get what I mean?
Facts.
Like, if you two are being pulled apart, the world is there. Like I said, we said earlier, the brain is there to look for comfort.
Facts.
The world is there to poke your insecurities.
Yes.
And you two want to be together, but you're not working and countering those
factors that are working against you.
Exactly.
Facts.
So you have to make sure that, you know, you're doing stuff that are practical to pushing towards God and keeping your household grounded and in check.
Yeah.
You have to keep God in the center.
Definitely. I agree with you on that. And I think one other thing, again, I feel like mentors, spiritual mentors, mentorship from spiritual leaders who've actually gone through this same process is crucial. Like spiritual counsel, godly counsel is one of the priceless things any Christian can ask for. There are people who have gone through what it is you're going through right now, and God put those people specifically in your lives for a reason. Take advantage of that. Discuss with these people, seek godly counsel from them. Spend time in the Word as well too, because the Word of God is a compass for our lives, and there's a lot of guidance in that for us as Christians. And I mean, putting all of this in place would lead you to finding peace and true, genuine love in your relationship, because as long as you're grounded in God, there's a God love going there, and your relationship is entrenched in God's love, it will blossom. It will blossom.
I think something just came to my mind right now, and I feel like I want to share it with you as well.
Sure.
I believe that if you're going to put God first and be in a relationship, a godly relationship, one must first know God, right?
Facts.
None of these things can exist without you knowing God.
Facts.
You can go to church, you can do all of that things, but you have to know God.
Facts.
And you have to believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a personal relationship.
Key.
Like a personal relationship that is not tainted by anything else. That
yes.
you know that, nothing can derail you from this before you now get into a godly relationship.
Yes.
Because sometimes we have problems where, people say, I know God, I do this, I do that, I do this. You go to church together, all of these things. Finding a man or a woman in church is not always the way that we think it's gonna be. There's so many people that have gone through in church,
that are not in God.
that are not in God, or even not even a good person.
Facts.
Was like, again, it's perception.
Yeah.
The world has perception. Christians has perceptions too.
Facts.
Everyone the world is very image based. People just
keep up appearances.
Exactly. That's the best way to put it. So I think you have to have a personal relationship with God. That's the first thing.
Foundation.
Actually.
Yeah.
The foundation. And your partner also have to have that. And when you're looking for someone, you're looking for that element first. Does she have a personal relationship with God? Does he have a personal relationship with God?
Facts.
Do you know what I mean? So you have to take time. You almost have to be a stoic in a relationship where you're just sort of meditating it. You're watching it from a distance.
Yeah.
You're not pushing yourself too close to it.
Yeah.
And forcing something that is not there.
Definitely.
Because, when we see someone that we like, we form a story about that person.
The butterflies.
These are all distraction. The illusion. It's not real.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
It's not real. So you have to have a personal relationship. She has to have a personal relationship. Then both of you cohesively can have a personal relationship with God.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, this has been an amazing conversation, and I'm happy God brought you here today to have this conversation. And we really look forward to hearing your feedback on this. Like, I want to see your comments in the chat box. I want to see your comments in the comment section. You can send us a message, and let's have a conversation about this thin line between love and lust. Let's hear what you have to say. And Elijah, thank you so much for coming, bro, man. It's been an amazing time discussing with you, having this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for bringing me on. I mean, what you're doing right now, it's amazing. I don't feel like I'm here as a guest speaker. I'm literally a student to this podcast.
We're all students, bro.
I am learning so much.
We all are, man. It's a continuous learning process, bro.
I'm extremely privileged to be here today to even have the opportunity to talk, because sometimes, I said this before, that, you don't feel like you're worthy to have this discussion, but who is? Do you know what I mean?
God makes us worthy, man.
God makes us worthy.
He qualifies the unqualified, bro.
Exactly. That is the word. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
I pray for progression. And
Amen to that, bro. Amen to that. And yeah, guys, it's the Struggling Young Christian podcast. Like I always say, we delve into real life situations. We talk about our struggles. We talk about our successes too. And we just deal with stuff that we all are going through as young Christians. And when I say young Christians, I mean, we all are young at heart. For some of us who are on the upper side of the age threshold, but we all are God's children, so we're all young at heart. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Stay blessed, stay focused, and I mean, God is love.
God is love. It's good.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, man.
Soft House Productions.